silence. And once again, tragedy has struck Beecher with an traffic accident that happened in the country. And also there are family members that are healing, possibly ill, and we have a moment of silence to help them. Thank you. Today is July 23rd, 2018. Can I have a roll call, please?
Missouri? Here. Basil? Whaling?
Here.
Kaporis?
Here.
Meyer? Here. Kraus?
Here.
Minutes from July 9th, are there any changes, corrections? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion made, is there a second? Second. Any questions on motion? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Whaling?
Yes.
Kaporis?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
And the clerk's report?
The total tax revenue received since June 25, 2018 is $153,647.80. Item number 2, resident Rebecca Kerr is requesting approval of a block party to be held on Saturday, August 11th from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. on her street from 1526 Saddle Run to 1506 Saddle Run Lane. All those homeowners who will be affected by the street closure have signed off on the application. The chief and the crew leader reviewed the request and had no issues with it. Are there any objections from the board?
That's it.
That is it.
In recognition of audience tonight, we have the fire department here, we have the command staff, and Chief Pelichetti and the fire department have requested to use some land out by the Public Works Building, and they have a presentation for us. Chief?
Thank you, everyone, for agreeing to hear our presentation. And as you know, there have been some changes, and we're really looking at getting back in touch with the community. And so over the last year, we've had the opportunity to get some acquired structures in the airport property. Those are soon to be running out, so that puts us in a position where we have an issue training our personnel. Not only the fact that we're operating on Western Avenue and Kedzie, which leaves us out of the village. So our response times are increased. We have to change our staffing around to where we can leave an ambulance in quarters and then rotate personnel out to the training so everybody gets the quality training that we are providing. So doing a lot of research, and we have kind of come up with a proposal to utilize the land at Indiana Avenue and Town Center Road, right in front of the Washington Township building and just to the east of the Public Works garage. So we put together a little presentation. There's no animations or anything like that, so it's pretty simple. All right. No 3D glasses needed or anything. So we have to establish goals and objectives. We have to maintain compliance with state and federal regulations. We're held to the same standards that the police department is held to, and other agencies. So we're also tasked with trying to create real-world training opportunities. So we have to try to simulate all these buildings that we have in our fire district, going from 3 or 4 unit townhomes on Foxhound Trail to multifamily buildings that are on Pasadena and Melrose, to an 1,100 square foot ranch, all the way to a 3,500 square foot house on Fairway Drive. Right, Chief?
It's 34 feet.
We got to educate the community and the elected officials about the facility, how it works, why it's important to us, and providing that we could provide a safe observation area for any people in the public, in the village, unincorporated areas that want to come out and watch us train. It's low maintenance, long life of the facility. It's centrally located. This is the biggest thing that is important to the fire district, is that we remain in our heavily populated response area. Keep our response times low. Okay? Provide cost-effective training to our employees. If we were to send our employees, there's only a few training centers that are out there in our area. If we were gonna, say, send our duty crew to Orland, Orland charges $800 per day to use that facility. That doesn't include the cost of backfilling overtime to cover our town, and then we have to do that 3 times to cover each shift. So it's kind of a logistical nightmare, but it's something that, in order for us to remain compliant, it's something that we have to look into. Another important goal is to ensure that the facility remains and has that aesthetic, that it's not an eyesore to the community, and we're looking at different options that we could, if this does come to fruition, that it's publicly appealing, if that makes any sense, okay? Here's a little breakdown of what we have to do on an annual basis. Company training, anytime that our guys have to train as a group. So our daily shift, we have 5 firefighter paramedics on duty 24 hours a day. 2 of them are contracted full-time with us, and then 3 of them are on a part-time basis. And that is all on top of our supplemental paid-on-call staff. They have to complete 192 hours per year of just that company training. Hazardous materials training, 6 hours per year as a refresher. Drivers training, 12 hours per year. We're a pretty young fire department, so we have a lot of young drivers. That is 60 hours per year. They have to complete 10 hours per vehicle just to get signed off and get that proficiency. Officers training, anybody that holds a rank with the fire department has to go through officers training. That is 12 hours per year. Facility training, anything that requires a fixed facility to throw ground ladders, to simulate ventilating roofs, searching, live fire, we are required to do 24 hours of that training a year. So it's pretty steep, and all that is on top of all of the OSHA mandated trainings. Hands-on training, anytime that, Chief Smith, hands-on training is irreplaceable. That is how we can sit somebody and tell them to read a book, but when they actually get out there and actually have to perform with their hands, that's a completely different story. So that is 90% of our job, is to make sure that our guys are proficient utilizing the skills. And 15 years ago, fires were up around the country. Now, I'd like to say, due to our public education program and fire prevention, that fires are down. So what does that in turn do to our people? Lack of experience, and we have to try to simulate that to maintain that experience level. The training facility would provide training opportunities for fire, emergency medical services, law enforcement, public works, and kind of where the law enforcement thing comes into play, as I talked to Chief Smith and Matt Connor, was, they could use it for doing rapid deployment drills, searching buildings. If we have to do any kind of forcible entry, we can all build those props into this facility. Public Works, you guys are required to do confined space training annually. We're looking at getting the possibility of getting culverts to simulate a confined space to where these guys can go in. It's a controlled environment. New employees can go in and really get their hands on that stuff, and it'd be beneficial to everybody. The proposed facility, pending approval, would be at Indiana Avenue and Town Center Drive. It's that vacant lot. Here's a little layout to try to put things into perspective. The Public Works building is 120 feet by 110 feet. The building that we're looking at putting up would roughly be 60 by 40 and constructed of those steel seat containers. Right now, the cost of steel is up with the tariffs, but the cost of a 40-foot container, one 40-foot container, is about anywhere between $1,700 and $2,000. We would like to have 10 to 11 containers. We would not want to exceed 3 stories tall, but we would like to go 3 stories just to simulate those townhomes on Foxhound Trail. Those really present a unique situation for us because long hose lays, we can't get a fire truck down that common driveway. Anywhere for us to get a ladder truck in there is really, we would have to go in off of Somerset. And that really kind of poses an issue. But this is where we can really hone in on our skills and be proficient and try to simulate the buildings that we're working in our community. So this area, uh-oh. Yeah, there we go. I'm not gonna hit that laser pointer again. But the red building, that would be the containers, all right? The little bump out on the north side, we would try to simulate a 2-car garage to where we could put cars in there, a simulated car used by LP. We can control the fires by LP, stuff like that, but that's down the road. But there's a container right on the corner that we would use for storage, storing our straw, pallets. We're not burning, we are strictly governed by NFPA 1403. So what that means is we cannot burn couches, tables, anything like that. It all has to be Class A combustibles, pallets, straw, that's it. So you're not gonna get any of that nasty, smelly smoke, black smoke, or anything like that. And we follow that to a T. Anytime that we're doing trainings out at these houses for the airport, we are very, very conscientious about ripping all of the old floor coverings off, cabinets, anything like that. Asbestos is removed and everything, so that's nothing that we really mess around with. Here's some examples of some training facilities in the area. You can see, once we get the containers placed, they would have to be placed on concrete footings, and then depending on what we decide to do a surround. Initial stages would probably be gravel, and then the overall goal was to asphalt it, so there's a nice clean surface. Here the container, it's painted red. I think in that area, a nice earth tone to kind of blend in with the Public Works building, the Washington Township building would be more aesthetically pleasing to the public. We would also like to have on Indiana Avenue, put a berm up when we're doing the site prep, to put maybe some evergreens or something like that to kind of shield it, and have a nice sign stating what this is, Beecher Public Safety Training Facility. So people just don't think it's just some eyesore, because there's really a lot of value behind it. On the right-hand side, this is just kind of a rough blueprint. Once we get the containers in place, there's still some cost associated with, we have to cut doors, windows, build stairways, all that stuff would be built out of steel. And we have a fabricating company that we deal with in-house that we could contract all that work to. All the stuff on the top, edge protection, so if we were gonna use it for rappelling, everything is rated. Here's another example. This has kind of got that earth tone color scheme to it. This is a little bit more extravagant than what we're looking at, but this does have power ran to it for security lighting around there, which is something that we got to look into as well for, just so we don't have kids playing in and on around it.
Chief, that's a 4-story now, right?
This is a 4-story.
You're looking at 3-story.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a 4-story. I just kind of picked this picture just because of the color scheme. And you can see on the left-hand side, it's got a sloped roof. And this is another simulating feature, is getting our young guys up on these roofs, cutting holes. There's edge protection. We don't have to worry about them falling off of roofs, stuff like that. Site preparation, we would obviously have to consult with a local engineering firm to look at that property and see where see where we stand with drainage. We're not flowing, copious amounts of water, so we're just going in, extinguishing room and content fires, using maybe 500 gallons at a time. But there's a village hydrant right there on the corner, and so that's kind of the unknown right there, is what kind of cost that we have, that it may run into with getting this property looked at. Again, we touch on the potential uses. No more than 3 stories tall. Set up to simulate the majority of the buildings in our area. Ground layer work, we covered that. And Public Works could potentially use it for doing some confined space drills. So it's really got a very flexible use. The primary use would be for the fire district, but I want to have that good working relationship with the police department and the public works department, that it is for all of us. So what we're looking for, we would like to see if the village would be interested in entertaining a multi-year lease of that property to allow us to move forward with this project. So if you guys have any questions, I'm all yours.
If I may, for the new trustees, they may not know this, that land originally was planned for a future combined Public Works, Police Department, and Village Hall. In fact, there is I'll call it a blueprint or a rendering of that happening. But I believe that has already changed. The Public Works building is now on the opposite side, which I believe it was on the other
We
side.
have to flip everything now.
I mentioned the fire department, I don't think it's in our radar to do anything like that in the future, if we do anything like that at all, because even back then, it was controversial whether to do something like that out there or not. There was an idea to try and keep it centrally located as we possibly can. Obviously, since the growth of the town has slowed virtually to nothing, I don't think that's in our radar, it's not in our financial picture right at the time. So what we did mention to the fire department, and I believe they would agree to this, is if we were to come to agreement that if in fact at any time down the road that we would need that property for whatever reason, we would come to an agreement on how we vacate the property and then we go on from there. But I don't see that happening in a 20-year lease.
And what is nice about these, we're not constructing a concrete building. These containers are all portable. These are the ones that you see driving up and down Dixie Highway, down County Line Road, so that they can be moved. If we do cross that bridge in the future, it can be relocated, and we can find a different site as it seems fit.
Questions?
Yeah, I just had a curiosity question. So there aren't very many of these sort of things in the area you said?
Correct.
There's Orland, et cetera.
Correct.
Possibility, just out of curiosity, when you're not using it, you could lease it out to other,
That's the plan. So we have Grant Park to our south, we got Cedar Lake to our east, Crete Township, the village of Crete, Stager. Peatone has one, but over the years they really haven't utilized it. Just their training program took them another direction. But yeah, and that's with us working with these airport houses, there were days that we've had 47, 50 firefighters from all these neighboring communities out here, and we are providing the training. So, and that is kind of what we are looking to do, is make Beecher, as it relates to the fire service, we're the ones that are going to go above and beyond it and provide that training, whether it's to our own people and to our neighboring communities. And so yeah.
You said 20 year, I think that's what you said, 20-year lease?
20-year lease is what we're suggesting, and I think that's what they were looking for, a longer lease.
For the cost-effective depreciation of the facility.
And how's it gonna be secured when you guys aren't using it?
It would be locked.
Everything's locked?
Everything's locked.
Okay.
So there'd be like gates on like those stairways going up and everything? that
Yeah,
you-
and what we would also like to do is gate around the whole, fence around that whole facility.
We'd like to put cameras out there in the future.
Yeah.
If we could get power, we'd like to get a camera system out there so we can visually see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a couple questions for
Sure.
the chief, just as a good number to have. Out of the, how many required hours the training will this facility enable you guys to do right here within the district rather than having to travel?
How many hours?
Yeah.
Um,
Like where you said, I mean, are you talking like, are you gonna be able to do all of it here? Is this now create like maybe 75% of it here?
this will be an all-in-one.
We could
We
accomplish
can
all
do
of it.
everything.
So you can do all, so.
Everything.
Huge.
Huge,
My next question I had on there, I was gonna, as you were doing this, I was taking notes, 40 by 60, my question was how high? I guess my question is 3 high enough to simulate
Well,
what you have over there on
there's-
Foxhound Drive?
Well, and that is, I said
Because those
3
sea
high.
boxes are typically only 8 foot tall.
Yeah, so
High cubes.
if, I think there's a village ordinance that, nothing can be built over 3 stories, right?
But is it 3 stories, you're only 8 foot?
True. I didn't wanna get into any kind of
The height of
controversy
a
or
residential
anything like
structure
that.
cannot exceed 35 feet.
Okay,
When you get into government or industrial buildings, that's a whole different ballgame. If you're proposing to use it for training, I don't think height would be an issue. You
and
know,
if that's the case, if we have the permission, then yeah, we would love to go.
I mean, me personally, I mean, I can't, I mean, I wouldn't limit yourself to, I mean, at this phase of it, if you say, you know, we put it in there, you know, limit of 3, a story on a sea box, what I'm getting at is only 8
8
foot.
foot.
You know, so if you go 3, you're only 24. Are you truly
Mhm.
simulating what you have out there in Hunter's Chase? Because with a lot of those foundations, some of them are, I mean, you're upwards of, I
Yeah.
mean, 30-something foot
That's a good point.
to the gutter line
Mhm.
on these houses, and then you gotta get on the roofs of these.
Right.
Right. If I remember right though, didn't you say with the company that actually builds these for you, you would give them what you're looking for to accomplish, then they would design it, if I remember right?
Well, that is an option. So if we hired a firm, there was a company in Lamont, right?
Still there.
And if we had them come out and build us a facility, it would be $150,000.
Mhm.
If we do this in-house, all costs minus the site prep, we should be able to do it $60,000. And that is running a plasma cutter, cutting all the openings in ourselves, really reducing that amount of time that we have to have that fabricator out there. Framing up the concrete ourselves and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and then my last question that I had was, which is probably, I'm sure, something you can't answer now, but my big question would be on drainage. I would think you'd have to have some sort of drainage set up to this facility where everything is gonna eventually leak down into the ground and run off, just like, you know,
And there's-
some sort of
On,
storm sewer, or if this would need to be treated and run to
Matt was in on
a
the
sewer
meeting,
plant.
so they discussed this drainage a little bit.
Yeah. I'm gonna try this.
Well, I guess my question is this, with the drainage is,
Yes, I can show.
with the runoff, what are you looking at? Is this something that has to run to the sewer plant and be treated, or is this something that could run straight into the storm sewer?
This stuff, any tower that I've been around, it runs straight into the storm sewer.
Okay.
So all you're getting is runoff from, you might have some straw in there, just sooty water, that's it. Probably no different than anything that's running away, down the curb line into the storm sewer.
Matt, you have the spoils over there.
Correct.
Are you planning on keeping the spoils pile out there?
In
or-
that general area, yeah, we asked to keep at least 1 acre for ourselves for the spoils area.
So whether or not we relocate the spoils to, closer to the Public Works building, and then, or we can move the facility this way.
What is the thinking on the spoils? I mean, you're gonna get rid of it at some point, right? I mean, you're not gonna sit there and build this mountain.
Well,
Usually what happens is we have somebody that's excavating on their farmland or something like that that needs fill. They'll come in, and we haven't had anybody recently.
what we also looked at in the future is having a trench simulator. So that would also come into play with, the Public Works and our stuff doing trench rescue, is having a trench simulator, and we could also utilize those spoil piles piles in that situation as well. So, and that's something that,
We usually hold spoils for about a year, maybe two, and we try to get rid of it, is that right, Matt?
Yeah.
And usually we get contacts and we'll say, can I have that fill?
Mhm.
Sure, take it. You know?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What we're looking for tonight, what the fire district is looking for is permission to enter into, negotiate a lease agreement with the mayor to get this done. But what are the issues and what are the questions before we get to that phase? We're talking 20 years. So we have to memorialize an agreement, and enter into an IGA with the fire district board and village board. And the purpose tonight is to get the issues out on the table so we can negotiate an agreement, if this is what you want to do. From staff's point of view, I think it's great. I don't think, it's a use of land that we're not using right now, really. And it doesn't tie your hands down the road.
How about this, we'll work out the details, we still have to present something to you in writing. Contacting the attorney and working with the fire department, we'll present something to you in writing so you can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it as a resident, I'm appreciative of it. The foresight that the fire district's using here. The only thing I would look for in that lease agreement would be, at the end of it, if someday it is terminated 20, 30 years down the road, that the fire district be responsible for returning it to original condition. I mean, if you, I'd be all for growth of it and expanding, whatever, but, any concrete pads or anything like, if that time comes where the village needs to build on that land or whatever, that, the fire district's responsible for taking out any, along with just the buildings, but, if that foundation, anything you guys put in there, or parking lot or whatever, that would have to come out.
We'll keep it a 20-year agreement, but we could say by mutual agreement of both parties, this agreement can be extended beyond 20 years. But we have to limit it to 20 years because statutorily, that's about all we can really do. But 20 years down the road, it doesn't mean you have to pull it out,
How are we able to enter into a 99-year agreement with the railroad?
because it's a railroad.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's the railroad.
Okay.
Well, I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea for all aspects of public works and police department and fire, being able to use this to further their training, and it's right here in-house.
Scott, you're good?
I'm good.
Todd?
Yes, good idea.
Marcy? Okay, we'll continue to talk.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Some animation.
Oh, if I were you, I'd run, don't stick around.
Chief, the next presentation.
You got
Already
your thing?
okay.
Yeah. Animation
Camera.
answer no. Or maybe they could add PowerPoint training to that list.
Yeah,
Stick around, I got so much to say.
All right, anyone else from the audience wish to address the board?
Thank you, sir.
I gotta take class in house. I'll see you Thursday.
Okay, now we have Finance and Administration Committee.
See you, Cap.
Fund balance comparison since 2007. Each year at about this time, the village reviews its fund balance status compared to the past and spot any issues. This year it seems to be performing well and don't have a lot of issues with cash flow. There's a report with closed, which everyone had a chance to look at. Second, Will County Aggregation Group update. Bids will be open and a recommendation made to the committee on or about July 31st. And the goal is to have a new supplier online by October 1st.
That's correct. The firm date will be 10 a.m. on July 31st. The bids will be open. And we will vote that morning. We have until 5 o'clock to secure that date.
Village audit update. Field work was completed Friday and the audit is on target to be presented to the village board in October. That ends my report.
The Public Buildings, Properties, Parks and Recreation, Trustee Will.
Okay, we need an update on the generator project at the police station.
I spoke with Metro Power last week. They are in the final stages of receiving all of their parts. They're hoping that the latest to be starting on it next week.
And starting and then completion is,
They're saying within a week's time.
okay. Status of the Tot Lot project, looking for grants at this point. Lion Park.
We did open the account, by the way, Scott.
You opened it, okay.
And the village put its money in there, and I believe the fire department or district's money. Lions Club is gonna make it donation.
Lions Club, and then we got,
Also, youth
Youth
commission, we
Commission.
had our meeting and we decided to make a donation of $2,500.
okay.
If you guys choose to do any fundraising opportunities, we're more than welcome to help you with advertising it. Some of us will help if you have anything to sell as well.
Thank you. Lions Park Playground Plan, Work Plan, Matt?
So this fall and winter, we're hoping to get in there and tear out all of the old gravel and the wood that's surrounding the playground out there that's currently there. I was hoping Frank would be here. I know he was talking about maybe the Lions Club was looking into purchasing a new playground set for out there. I'm not sure where he's at with that, but we were gonna start with at least tearing out the old ground area and starting over and putting in some actual certified playground mulch that's required by through the state for playgrounds.
Yeah, I know I've talked to Frank as well, and he had mentioned the same thing as far as playground equipment
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's at with that. But.
Okay. Update on the video security at Fireman's Park.
The 3 cameras have been installed to pick up some of the blind spots that we had. We'd like to thank Ken Babowski for providing an electrical outlet separate from the ones that are currently in that shed, because they could easily be unplugged. So this is up and out of the way. The cameras are pretty much high definition. One is covering the bathroom that's out there. The other one is the ice rink, right where the ice rink was. And the other one is on the east side of the shed facing the south, so it gives us a good picture of the blind spot.
Good.
And they work at night too, is that correct?
They do.
Night vision.
Nice, yeah, very nice.
Okay.
Will you have the ability to bring those up on your MDTs or
It's web-based.
web-based?
That's good. Have we had any problems down there with the restrooms or anything lately? I
Not
haven't
since we
heard
put them up.
any. All right, so that's a good thing.
We lock them up for the 4th too, we don't open them up that week.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
During's another story.
All right. Update on Fireman's 2 ball field lights. I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything. So that's a project in process, I think.
Bowls are out, that's as far as they got.
Poles are up.
Bowls are down.
That ends my report.
Okay, Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, Trustee Reserve.
Building department monthly report is enclosed for your review, and the community planning workshop is scheduled for this Thursday, the 26th at 7 p.m. here. All village officials are encouraged to attend and participate in planning exercises scheduled for that evening, as well as the community and anybody that wants to come out. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Crouch.
Thank you. The police department, EMA, code enforcement monthly reports are closed for review. We will be creating a hiring list for the police department. I met with the chief Friday, just get started on that. We've talked about this in the past, there needs to be standards, minimum qualifications. So we're working on getting that done, and hopefully we'll start advertising here sometime next month, doing testing in the fall, and they'll get us created probably sometime early next year, and then we'll be finalized. But working on getting all those, the policies and procedures set for that. That's all I have.
Public Works Committee, Trustee Covers.
Alright, water department monthly report along with the sewer department monthly report is enclosed for your review. Water billing register for the months of May and June is enclosed for your review. I will note, pump to build at 73, basically 74%. An improvement, but I think we're still searching better numbers, but a definite improvement over what we've seen.
I think we found it.
What? Oh, yeah, possibly.
Is it your house?
No, not my house, no.
We have, I will report on that though, I do believe we've got pretty much everything but one, place that has unmetered water meter. We got one location left there. Previously, I think we had about 7 locations, so, we're moving forward with that, which is a positive thing, so hopefully at the next water building register, we might have some numbers on where some of that may be. And we can start putting that into account, into the pump to build ratio. Wastewater treatment plant, update, process control was the topic of, the last construction progress. I mean, Bob, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, they've dug the pit,
Technical movement?
they've dug the pit for the clarifier, but we're getting so much rain, they can't get their forms and rebar in their pour, so we gotta get some dry weather. Cause we're close to the creek there and the water table is high, and that hole is 32 feet deep. So it's hard to keep the hole dry. But as soon as we get some dry weather, we'll be able to get in there and pour some concrete.
Dunbar water main update to be provided.
I was
We
told
awarded
that
the bid.
we awarded the
We
bid, and a pre-con meeting is going to be scheduled for sometime next week. I don't have the date and time yet. But we'll let you know once I know.
Yeah, can you send me that as soon as we find out when the pre-con will be? And then we'll have more information, I'm sure, at the next meeting as to when we'll be starting after that. Miller Street lift station update. We had some problems at the lift station. Matt, you wanna
Yeah,
fill everyone in on that? I know Scott's definitely abreast of the situation.
so originally we had one pump go down, when we called for the emergency repair. I believe that was roughly 3 weeks to a month ago now. Within that time frame, the second pump failed, and we had to, rent a bypass pump, for a couple weeks. At this point though, all of the work has been completed, except for a couple little wiring issues and a light change out that they're gonna be here tomorrow completing. So the station is back up and running, functioning on its own, and it's been that way for about 4 or 5 days now.
It's on the
so.
3-phase grinder pumps now, right?
It is, yeah. And previously, both pumps were kicking on at the same time. At this, now they rewired it so that they alternate, so hopefully we get some more years out of those as well with doing that, so.
Manhole issue on Route 1. Last week, we had a repair of the manholes, right on Route 1. There may be more coming down the road, Matt. Reason
Okay.
for failure, repair.
We're not really sure the for sure cause. It might have been installed, cracked, the state plows coming by tearing it up, the heavy traffic with the semis coming through town. It's a number of things that could have happened. But it failed, it collapsed on itself, and we did an emergency repair on it on Friday. On Wednesday, they'll actually be coming in, right now they're just, it's just filled with coal patch. On Wednesday, they'll be coming in, all pro paving will be coming in to complete the repair, but we will be inspecting the rest of the manholes down in front of the Village Hall area here. It's all the sanitary manholes that are in the southbound lanes of of Route 1 there.
Just when the sanitary was originally put in, that sewer was off the shoulder of the road. When we widened Route 1, it just put that sewer line in the lane of traffic. There's nothing you could do about it. So now, 20 years later, after Route 1 was widened, we're gonna have problems with these failed manhole covers. So we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Curb and sidewalk replacement program update. I mean, I spoke to Matt, not much on that. We got Perino Brothers set up. They should be starting that soon.
Yeah, hopefully by mid-August they'll be in here doing that project. So we're kind of all over town, a little bit on the west side of town, some up in Hunter's Chase and other areas, so.
And along with that, you guys, got the bid on the mud jacking.
Yeah, we signed off on mud jacking today. I sent it to him. I haven't heard back from him though, but we're concentrating a lot of that on Woodward South, that area down there, so.
Consider a motion authorizing the letting of bids for 2018 crack sealing program in the amount not to exceed $25,000. This is in the budget. This is just customary to allow us to advertise and begin the process. So I'll go ahead and make a motion authorizing the letting of bids for the 2018 crack sealing program in the amount not to exceed $25,000.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Meyer. Yes. Caprows,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Water and sewer SCADA update. I know that's something that's touchy subject with me. It's been budgeted for the last 3 years, but it seems like we were supposed to be done with it last year. We did another $16,000 to do it again this year. But we're still not there. Matt, I mean, and things came up and it wasn't really done, but, Matt, you wanna explain this?
Energetics, they're out of Wisconsin, they came down here on Tuesday. We went through our sewer plant, each well house, they took a bunch of pictures, and we're going back on some old proposals that they gave us for that 3-year plan that they had us set up for, to see what's been done in emergency situations compared to what, should be done in the future. They're gonna be coming up with new plans for us, for a 2 to 3 year plan for where we need to go from here. So hopefully I'll have some info out by the next meeting on that.
Gould Street paint restriping is complete. Results of the IEPA inspection of the existing sewer treatment plant. This report is enclosed. The village was cited for one excursion back in February. Other than that, details are in there.
Is that just I read that, I understand the words in there, I don't understand the order they're in or why they're there. So what's that, just a one-time? 'Cause I read it because it was a heavy rain.
It was a very heavy rain,
Just a
and
heavy
the
rain,
pond,
that's it.
the pond overflowed into the overflow weir and it was discharged and chlorinated, but when that occurs, you have to report that to the IEPA, and then in your annual inspection, they ding you for it. And what that means is your plant is not designed to handle maximum flow. And we've already addressed that with the expansion of the sewer plant.
Thank you.
Gould Street boardwalk ceiling update, Matt?
Gas painting, I talked to them last week, they're tentative, week of August 13th for power washing, and sealing the week of August 20th. Obviously, all that depends on weather, so.
Can we make an effort to let the businesses know there when we get more definitive time and date?
Yeah, I'll be meeting with them. So,
Will this affect them, will they have to?
maybe for a day. Gas was asking for up to a week, but I know that's not gonna be possible. So it'll seal in pretty quick though. I mean,
Are they doing sections or like is everything gonna have to shut down for a day?
they're gonna do everything at once, and they'll be done within a day, 2 at the absolute most. So they're gonna do the deck top first, and then they'll start working on the sides where that obviously isn't gonna matter as much, so.
I noticed they were painting again at the police station, the railings, did
So-
they forget them, or did they?
No, it wouldn't adhere, the paint that they used wouldn't adhere to the metal, so they ended up spray painting.
Ah, okay, so we're not paying an additional bill for that?
Nope, you took care of us.
Okay.
ComEd pole project, Route 1, there's not much to report there, you see it, poles are there and all the
We did get letters
transformers
today,
and
every resident along Route 1 got a letter from ComEd today about the project,
project.
if it affects them.
Status of Fairway Drive street lights, there was some resident inquiries, inspection learned that Fairway Drive was missing 3 street lights. Since they were installed in '95, they appear to be on our billing list, so we've made a formal request through ComEd to put new poles in at these locations. The report's enclosed. And my last thing is I will be requesting an executive session at the end of the meeting to discuss employee. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Economic Development and Community Relations, trustee Bear.
Consider a resolution of intent to establish a tax increment finance district. This resolution is required as part of the process for creating a TIF district, and it's recommended that it be approved.
2018-08.
I'm sorry, 2018
08.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution of intent to establish a tax increment finance district, resolution number 2018-08.
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or motion? Roll call.
Missouri,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Caprows,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kraus,
Abstain.
Consider an ordinance of participation in the tax increment financing district. This ordinance sets up procedures for participating in the TIF creation process and is required by law before we proceed any further with the needs assessment.
1292.
So I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1292 for participation in the tax increment financing district.
Second.
There is a motion and there is a second.
Under discussion, Mr. President, I believe you should vote on this one. This might require a supermajority.
Okay. And as a comment, we did already inform the new school superintendent of what we were doing, how we were doing it. He seemed to be very familiar with it, and I certainly did not get any bad vibes from it whatsoever. In fact, he offered some suggestions, so with that, roll call.
Kraus,
Abstain?
Meyer,
Yes.
Caprows,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Missouri,
Yes.
Semansky.
Yes.
Senior housing project is still a priority. Our first choice to provide a senior housing project is not showing any interest, so we'll be proceeding to other potential builders and investors. So we're still working on it.
I mean, how does, I guess I just don't know, how does this work? I mean, do we just go to one that we thought would be the best option? Do we just mail stuff out? How does, I mean? how do we
Sometime
go
back, or it's probably been going on every year, we sent out a bunch of letters to a bunch of projects that we identified. John even offered one, we sent one to them. The only response we got back was, I believe, the Beecher Manor acknowledged the letter, and then there was one other company that acknowledged the letter. Other than that, we did not hear anything. Since that time, we have tried to reach out to a company that is based out of Bradley, Bourbonnais, and try and set up an appointment, of which they did not return our phone calls. So as of last week, Bob and I discussed it, and we're gonna continue to push
We're
forward.
gonna reach out to individuals that we can identify from their websites as opposed to sending it to the corporate president. We're trying to reach out to specific people.
And then we also
It's not easy.
touched base with Beecher Manor again. They came right out and said that that type of housing that we were looking for is not their cup of tea, if you wanna call it. It's more assisted living rather than just senior housing per se. And if you certainly have anything in mind, let us know, and we'll reach out.
We even contacted Candace now too, John, that one you brought to us, we have contact.
There's others, that one that I sent you about, that does a lot of stuff downstate, Danville,
Yep.
outside of Effingham and stuff like that.
Got that one, Autumn Leaves, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Yep.
There's a lot of other good ones out there. Another route to go would be to, just a suggestion, possibly reach out to, and this is just from what I know from my travels, possibly reach out to Landmark. They were the general contractor on Beecher Manor.
I was just gonna say,
They do a ton of assisted livings, just in my area alone, they did the Lamont.
they're connected, yeah.
I know who he thinks,
but
but
they-
it's Jay Bradrich, isn't it, Jay
Huh?
Bradrich? Isn't it Jay Bradrich,
They're very different, there's been a lot of changes, so.
Oh, there he is.
But just an idea, they remodeled this, they remodeled, Lamont, and they're currently doing one on 124th, I can't, the name is just slipping my mind right now, on 124th in Ridgeland. They got ties into these places, they may be able to point you in the direction of some of these developers and the right principals to be talking to.
There was another, like Stowe Group was another one that had a complex in Stager,
Stager.
Linwood. We've reached out to quite a few of them. We have, just the point is, we haven't forgotten about them, and any suggestions like you guys have, by all means, let us know, and we'll reach out to them.
Quiet zone update, the village entered into an agreement with HR Green in May to complete this project by the end of the fiscal year.
We received, the first draft of the proposed improvements today. I reviewed them, the mayor hasn't seen them yet. I've made some comments, it appears Reed Street will be unaffected, both on the Hodges Lake and on the Penfield Lake. There's gonna be some issues with the Granaries Drive that we're gonna have to deal with. But all in all, the improvements don't look substantial. You know what I'm saying? We're not pouring cement or anything like that. Unfortunately, on the Hodges and Church Road crossings, we are going to have to widen the road to accommodate the barrier in the middle of the road. It's too narrow. So we may have to add 2 feet on either side of the road or something for a stretch of 100 feet. That's probably the most expensive part of the project. But until we meet with the FRA and have them review and approve it, I can't tell you exactly what we have to do yet. That's just the first glance at it.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. As your packet indicated, the Illinois Municipal League Conference is coming up September 20th to 22nd. As of now, I believe Jeanette, myself, and Bob are going. Anyone else that wants to go, please contact, if it's this week, Bob right away. And if it's next week, it'll be Jeanette, because Jeanette's on vacation, I believe, this week.
She'll be back next Thursday.
Okay, for the next 2 weeks. So contact, be between Patty, myself, or Bob, and contact us, so we can get things set up for you. With that, any other old business to come before the board? sorry. There is an intergovernmental meeting scheduled for August 29th, which Tessica and Associates will be there to discuss the comprehensive plan and get input from the other taxing bodies.
We'll get that agenda out here next week or two.
And thank you for that reminder since I skipped. All right, any old business coming before the board?
I forgot to mention under public safety, this past Saturday was the 5-0 for the Dirty-O for the, when our officer Sippo raced for the Special Olympics. He personally raised over $6,500. Just for his, and overall, they said they raised over $175,000 just for that event for Special Olympics, so, it's really nice to see some people out there, and, it's for a good cause.
Nice to see the car is still in one piece too.
And we'll be able to use it next year, well spent.
Got him on his work. We'd like to thank the support of Public Works, the trustees that came out. I know some of you couldn't make it, I understand that. This is the second year for the Special Olympics. You know, Roger really took the reins on this, so kudos to him. Dennis Tagenhorse and Goldie from Goldie's, and one of his lead mechanics, so without them, we couldn't have done it, so. It was,
Very proud. If you haven't seen the videos, are on Facebook, either by Joliet or somebody posted, the Youth Commission posted the video.
You know, Roger's car had a camera in it, one of those go cams, so we'll have to see if we can get that footage too.
Pretty proud.
Does he have his spin out?
I hope so.
Hopefully he has a big screen next meeting.
Okay, and new business, and I entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel.
I'll make a motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any questions on motion? Roll call.
Okay, John from first, Scott
Yeah,
second.
Scott's good.
Okay, fine. All right, Missouri,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Caperos,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Keep our hands, good stay.